let's see. We are a little bit late, but nothing crazy. As usual, checking the sound, checking the video. And we can begin. Okay. Live. And let's check. Test. Dr. Hamai, how are you? Perfect. Everything's working. Beautiful. Okay. Sounds okay. Thank you. Perfect. All right. So, couple of updates. As you can see, the number of validators is significantly increasing. Right, so we had what, 30 or so, and now it's 40 validators. Here's a problem though, as usual. Since the launch of Casper 5.0 and at the end of launch of Casper 4.0, only 73% of validators are active. Now this time I got slashed myself as well. I'm not gonna share which node exactly got slashed, but one of those. Well, I will be slashed. I'll show what the slash quantity is going to be pretty freaking significant. So because 27% are inactive, of validators are inactive, and it means that 73 is active while we can really just rely on about 66%. Because below 66%, below 2/3 of validators plus one, the chain will be just completely stalled. So ladies and gentlemen, if you are running a node and you're not 100% sure about you running a node, maybe you should not be running a node, because otherwise we'll have to deploy Casper 6.0 without that many updates, or maybe Casper 5.1. Now, for example, my personal mistake, like how I'm approaching this situation myself. I was in between changing of eras. I am at a new location, completely new location, Federal Good Morning. And for me, I was testing the new internet. Now, I was also in an environment where it has been previously tested that the internet connection has been somewhat unstable when it comes down to running this node. So the node itself on the Go side of things was fine, but the node on the side of the RPC endpoints was consistently delayed, consistently lagging. And I knew that this is going to be the problem coming into running the node myself. I was sporadically checking my node for about 30 minutes, right? Kind of in the beginning of the era. And I still got screwed over. Like I literally was late by maybe 2 or 3 minutes. I was bumping my blocks up a couple of times. It started syncing, then it stopped syncing. So I chilled my node, and I'll probably not be running the node for the next week while figuring things out. Of course, my quantity of slash is 50% plus, I think. Everybody's is about 50% plus. So I'm chilling my node instantly and trying to figure the shit out. But again, for me, it's a new location. Absolutely new location. The location that historically experienced issues. We didn't know how to fix that location before. So I was testing that specific thing. And again, whenever the trouble arose, I'm quickly chilling my node. Like I'm going to be chilling my node next era. Now, again, we have in discussions whether those rules are pretty draconian or not. And of course they are. If 37% of all the validators are inactive, that's absolutely freaking draconian. No, absolutely 100%. However, if only 9% of us were the testers testing stuff, I would be disabled but not slashed. So the reason why I'm slashed is because lots of you guys who are more than 9% are here chilling and, well, not therefore not chilling, hanging around and not chilling your nodes. So again, watch your stuff. Like, make sure you check your stuff. Check your RPC endpoints carefully. Are you syncing? Are you not syncing? Here, I see these guys are completely not syncing at all. Completely not syncing. Okay? That's crazy. So actually, wait, even more, right? So check this out. Like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? Not syncing at all. Those should have potentially been completely flashed. Now these new guys, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, those guys, look at that, syncing the nodes. Stuff is happening. Okay? So they are, maybe they have been inactive for like 10 minutes or so. So stuff happens, life happens. Make sure that whenever shit happens, you are only 9% of something. Okay? Otherwise, everybody else gets slashed too. So that's why we are considering the idea of forced chill, whether on the ghostDAO and or on the ghostDAO, whether any user or validator may potentially force chill those validators who no longer qualified to run a validator node, and for doing that as a snitch, aka no snitch code, they would be automatically receiving the lion's share of the slash amount. Okay, so that's something in the consideration. We've been discussing this with a couple of whales, discussing this with the team. We're having a pretty significant call later today and also tomorrow to work more on the slashing and rewards article, as well as figure out a couple of advancements. So what's on the roadmap? We need to potentially add a couple of features to the ghostDAO, just like finalize that in. We have made significant progress earlier this week when it comes down to responsiveness, adding the validator telemetry. So now you can see in the separate tab right there that we do, in fact, indeed have a decentralized set of validators right there. Whenever that loads up, comprised of full nodes and partial nodes. So this says 41 nodes. Now this one is not the most accurate representation of what's happening. Essentially, these are all the nodes who put a flag that they are validators. So to say that it's inaccurate is false. It's just that if your flag is a validator, you may not be a validator yet. You may be a validator in the next era. However, if you put the flag, the validated flag, you'll already be mentioned here. So can you, can you kind of juice the stats unnecessarily? Very difficult, because you still have to have a separate node, right? So it's like extremely difficult to juice the stats this way. It's just there is a little bit of discrepancy between what you see on the map and what you see here. However, it's getting closer and closer. Here we have 40 total validators. Here we have 41. Okay. All right. What things have been added to the DAO? So we have the filters now. So you can click and, ascending, descending filter. This is insane. You have telemetry. Stuff is responsive, again, state-of-the-art type of design, both visual but also functional. So nothing like this you will ever see on the bridging side of things, because nobody wants decentralization. Nobody wants a decentralized bridge. Nobody really is building anything of this caliber. And more updates again potentially coming, so we'll be discussing force chill. That's probably going to be the biggest feature. The animation. If you click here, for example, I've done a couple of bridges. So now the bridge again is checking not just the collapse, but also the capital, meaning the stake. We call it capital backed, maybe you should call it stake backed, whatever. Stake backed. Stake backed, yeah, probably. In any case, now you can see the epoch. You see the percentage. At that point of time, it's probably nothing. Maybe it just loads. Maybe the data. Probably the data is, by the way, just loading. How many claps went through, and then what's the percentage of stake that went through. You also see the bridge amount. You see the timestamp of the transaction. You see the address on the ghost. So you can see a lot of things. Okay, so this is getting better and better. And after the first chill, I think we'll take a pause for the bridging and focus on other things. What are we going to be focusing on? We need to spend a little bit of time polishing ghostDAO, ghostLite, and Ghost Extension. We would like to go through a similar process and see what makes sense from perspective of updating, polishing, adding little features here and there, adding tooltips, changing some logic on, again, a number of products, starting from ghostDAO, then ghostLite, and then Ghost Extension. Therefore, we are essentially saying that ghostDAO is mostly for the validators, ghostLite is mostly for nominators and users, Ghost Extension is for anybody who would like to use ghostLite or who would like to see the statistics on the Ghost Bridge. Now, without the extension, the Ghost Bridge can still be used. However, you just won't see the stats because the stats is not stored anywhere. It could be picked up from your local storage if you are running a Ghost extension. In this case, we may need to be renaming some of the products. So again, we have ghostLite, which is a light node. We have ghostEye, which is an explorer kind of product for limited explorer with validated functions and governance functions for the validators. Then we have a Ghost Wallet / Ghost Extension. Some names that we're thinking about are maybe Ghost RPC, right? Just kind of something more telling of what exactly those things are. We also need to be, again, making some little tweaks here and there. For ghostEye, we've been ideating all morning today, starting very, very early morning, regarding maybe adding some, some tooltips or maybe just updating the guide, or maybe actually making the navigation more simple and turning everything on ghostEye into a button that goes through so we don't have to memorize the shortcuts. In any case, those are just ideas that we will be discussing this weekend, specifically later today and tomorrow, to maybe update ghostEye to make it more usable and easy. ghostLite, we may need to just polish stuff. It's already pretty nice. Polish more stuff, write more guides about it, because we didn't really give too much love to the ghostLite. Ghost Extension is the easiest one of them. We fixed a couple of bugs last week, maybe a week and a half ago, and there are just a couple of polishing last touches, maybe renaming, and then maybe a guide of its own. So therefore, the product line, the product suite, comprised of ghostEye, ghostLite, and Ghost Extension will be fixed very soon, in the next week or two. All right, that's that. Now, on top of fixing the product suite, polishing the product suite rather, we would like to get to the Ghost governance, ghostDAO governance, user interfaces, figure out what to do with that. We also will be focusing on P-ghosts, which is what your GMVs will be swapped into. The user interfaces on that, and the logic on that too. And we would like to also focus on the forum, the public bulletin for the proposals, whether it's going to be a forum. So there's some ideas. Let me just go through some of those ideas. Maybe I should prepare a separate slide on kind of what we are thinking about. I'm discussing this yesterday as well, whether currently we have the general ghost group, which is pretty naked and pretty empty. It's dry, new users finding it, see the threads, but there's not that much activity because all the activity is situated in the Ghost Whales, which is a exclusive private group. So the idea is maybe to move outside of the group. So we can potentially need a forum. Now the forum may be in the form of a Discord, maybe in the form of a open source discourse, maybe in a forum, maybe just a Telegram thread. So we're just adding threads to the existing Ghost Whales group. So that's one option for the forum. Now the forum needs to be publicly available, it needs to be non-geo restrictive, it needs to be able to be very permissionless, where the URLs for the proposals could be copied and pasted into the on-chain governance. That's the key, right? So if we are just using the existing sources of Twitter or TG or whatever, Telegram, or even Discord, since those platforms have limitations, including geo restrictions, whether the platform is banning the source or the nations themselves are banning the source. It doesn't matter. The users have issues accessing based on geo restriction, for example. Also, since those platforms are not native platforms and they're being controlled by a third party, we have no control over it, obviously, logically. And the links may be also, kind of the links, the copy onto the links, like the terms onto those links may be edited, may be changed, maybe, something can happen. They could be, what's the word? You got the idea, right? So, since they could be changed, modified, that's the word, since they could be modified, those sources are not very much safe for the public proposals. So therefore, the idea is to maybe create a forum. Now, if you're going to create a forum, maybe it makes sense to move some of the blog pieces, especially those created by community members. At this point in time, all the pieces created by community members. So maybe to differentiate between official guides, which are kind of like more on the ghost tone, versus the personal opinions. For example, Cosmos is writing opinions. Harpocrates is writing opinions, right? So those users write, those whales writing opinions. Maybe it makes sense to open up the opinion pieces for other members as well. And maybe that could be in a form of a forum. Maybe that could be in a form of just a blog. So maybe I could have two blogs. One ghost specific blog, another one is like something else, like, kind of the community blog. So, and kind of the idea is like what to do around this, right? So we have a source of whales, Ghost Whales, which is a private Telegram group. We have a forum. And then we also have, we have a forum, and then we also have a blog, right? Like that we may need to kind of at least separate or diversify. So therefore, we have multiple sources, and what are some of the ideas? So some of the ideas that have been vocalized yesterday were maybe we cancel Ghost Whales altogether, move all that discussion to the main group / forum. So no longer do we have this more or less permissioned exclusive access to the whales. We just move everything to the main group. And then from the main group, we also communicate on the forum. And that way we're able to add threads and kind of create the knowledge base of all the stuff that we have with screenshots and stuff on the forum. Problem with it, of course, on the forum side of things, images and videos, for example, they take a huge space. So therefore, whatever the server that needs to be hosting those forums needs to be something significant, because IPFS may not be powerful enough. So that's kind of creates the centralization component for the communication. Another idea is just to keep the Ghost Whales group, keep the main group, and then just add the forum for the proposals for the most part. And then also kind of to make it less empty on the forum side of things, also introduce the blog, which is more opinion making from whales or from other from other ghost users with the blog. So the blog, with the forum. So the forum and the blog will be united together, and then the existing blog will only be hosting the guides. So we have lots of ideas. Unfortunately, we don't have something with 100% conviction. Otherwise, we would have implemented this a long time ago. We just don't have 100% conviction, and that's a problem. We've been contemplating about these ideas for the last 6 months. It's not that easy to make a decision, because the decision will have consequences and, lots of advantages and lots of disadvantages. And we don't want to deal with lots of disadvantages. so far, we've been keeping it the same, but it would be nice to do something about it. Dr. Humai writes, I think it's a very cool idea to create our own service for registering proposals for that. Yeah, like registering like a forum or something. So that's something we've been discussing. Okay. Now, on the side of slashing, so let's I guess finalize it, right? So let me share now the screen. Switch my screens. Do you guys see it? I think you do. Yeah. So some of those charts have been finalized, and it would be nice to know. So we discussed it before, so I would like to just kind of quickly go over it. On the slashing side of things, Babe and Grandpa, that's the chart. That's how it looks like. So it gets up to 100%, but no more than 100%. So you see how it's a cutoff score right there. It's a cutoff line, like more flat. as opposed to steeper from before. The reason why it's more flat is because the limit is 100%. At this point of time, based on the formula, it was supposed to be 104%, but we cannot go above 100%, so it's going to be just 100%. So limitation right there. That's if 34% of users misbehave. But it never gets there, so its reality is going to be like about 99%. That's Bape and Grandpa slash. At that point in time, if it ever gets here, the chain is just stalled. It's not paused. It's like it's operating. Now the slow clapping activity slash, that's what I've been mentioning forever now. So this point here is 10%. This point here is 9%. So if 9% or less of validators are inactive on the slow clap side of things, on the bridge side of things, they don't get slashed. They just get disabled. It's fine. Fix your shit. Come back the next era. No problem. Right? But if more than 9% are misbehaving, say 10%, in our case, remember 37%. So it's not even what is it, 37%? Yeah, 37%. Yeah, so it's like it's not even on this chart. So we're all supposed to get slashed like 100%, it seems like. So let's see how much we're gonna get slashed on. That's gonna be quite interesting. Oh, wait a second. I'm wrong. Sorry. My math is wrong. Sorry. We are 73% active. So 27% are inactive. I apologize. So 27. Sorry. Yeah, I was scared for a second. So 27% right there stands for about 50%, probably more than 50%. It's right there. Yeah, I apologize. So it's 27 inactive. So 50% of our stakes will be taken, including my stake. Not nice. That 50% will be redirected to the honest validators, so that's nice. But in any case, that's that. And do we have anything else on the slashing side? I think we do. Oh, missed claps. Yeah. So the missed claps, again, looks like this. We showed this before. So this is a pretty big assumption here. It's very difficult to draw charts like this. But the best that we thought of was, let's assume we have missed claps percentage by just one offender out of 100 validators. So we have 100 validators, so only one offender. That's an if statement. And the percentage of missed claps is proportional, right? So like, say here, here the offender just missed 1% of claps. Okay, so it's going to be slash of 1%. The 22% of missed claps will correspond to 22% of slash. Obviously, 100% of missed claps will be 100% of the slash. Something like that. So that's how this works. You may need to adjust this chart to make it more accurate, but that's what you're looking at. I think the most important chart of it all is fake claps, which is an inverse of this function, where I'm not missing the claps necessarily, but I'm just proposing fake claps. And this one is an even more difficult chart to draw. So we have 1% of offenders here, 5% of offenders, 10% of offenders, 20%, 33% of offenders. As you can see, the slash is actually getting smaller as more offenders are attacking the network. And the reason for that is if more users are introducing fake claps, maybe that's not a fake clap in the first place. So in this case, yeah. So that's what it is. Okay. We're done with the slashing. Now let's quickly move to the final point of today's discussion, the rewards. So on the reward side of things, this is for the first time of us even talking about rewards. As you can see, there's some lots of sources. Most of them are Polkadot related, if not all of them Polkadot related. That's where the function is taken from. This is the formula, which is, by the way, extremely difficult to find. So the documentation of Polkadot is actually quite difficult. And again, that's the best documentation, one of the best documentations in the space, which is right. So, and even that is pretty difficult to find. This formula specifically, like if you just Google up the reward function for Polkadot, good luck. You're not gonna find it. Now we found this one. It looks correct, and that's how the function looks like. So this is a twofold type of function where the blue line represents the reward function, like kind of the inflation, and the orange represents the Of course, we're going to draw it more nicely. But the orange represents the staking rewards per validator. So, as you can see, now what is the x-axis? Maybe let's make it less. Oh no, still don't see it. Maybe no, automatically, and then maybe it's labels, and maybe we do like 5. Yeah, okay. So now here, what we have is, this is the percentage of Casper, in this case, that is used for staking. So here, 50% of Casper is used for staking. Now, we used the originally defined parameters by Polkadot. That's what Polkadot has. Initially, kind of like the very first validator would have earned, the very first validator here, right? The inflation would only be 2.5%. However, since that's the only validator receiving the rewards, and nobody else is receiving anything, the staking is infinite, literally infinite. Like, you don't have the entry here. It's literally infinite. If 1% of all of all Casper in circulation is being staked based on these parameters, the inflation is 2.65%, but it's only received by this 1%. So that 1% of validators is receiving the APY of 265%. So the logic here is, initially, like, the orange curve is so damn high, right? The APY is like up to 20%, that, like, anybody, and that's of course, in our case, since we don't have inflation, our inflation is all backed. So it's a 20% APY, literal APY, that is not diluting anything. For 20% of percent a month, any validator would sell their mother to be able to validate, because the validation minimum is just 6.9 Casper, for example. On the main, it's probably going to be even less, and the requirements are nothing. It's pretty much like a Raspberry Pi. Now, if you're running a cluster, then we have an issue. But if you're running one node, easy. If you're running one node per location, it's also easy. Now, then what happens to this function is, as you can see, the APY, the orange keeps kind of depreciating, as the blue line, which is the overall inflation, also keeps depreciating. Now, what really happens is the inflation is just 10%. It's always fixed for Polkadot. And the difference, I'm not sure if you're going to see, like, between 10% and the blue line, that goes to the treasury, which is Ghost Colt. Now, between the blue line and the zero axis, the inflation goes to the validators. Now, in our case, we don't have a 10% fixed inflation. Our inflation is determined by the bridging fees. So in our case, the initial parameters were 0.69% at the beginning, 69% initial ideal inflation, 69% here, and 5% decay. Now, this is not accurate, because based on the curve itself, this is for some reason supposed to be 100%. No, sorry, not this one. 69, maybe this one, 100%. Okay, maybe not. So maybe this then. One of those. Yeah, potentially. But that is correct. This is accurate. So that's why we need to mess a little bit more with this function, just to make sure that it's all correct, draw it out nicely as well. And if everything works out, and based on the curve, everything is working out, then we'll also demonstrate, put this, make this chart pretty, put it out, put the formulas out, put our parameters out, explain what these parameters mean, and here you go on the reward side of things. But so far, what you're seeing is this is not exactly 70% APY. The APY will be, again, determined by the bridging fee. So whatever the bridging fee is, the bottom, the stuff here underneath the blue chart, goes to the validators. The stuff between this imaginary straight line at 69% right now and the blue line, that goes to the treasury, which is controlled by the Ghost Colt, which is controlled by the council. Council, validators, whales, users, everybody. Okay, that's like a Ghost governance function. Okay, so on this note, maybe if you have no other questions, maybe I would like to pause. because we just don't have that many listeners anyways. You guys will listen and come back to us with any questions you have. And yeah, let's have like a shorter call today. Next week, 27th. So who is celebrating Happy Christmas, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays. If I see you, I see. If I don't see you, I don't see you. But we'll still have a call on the 27th. So thank you so much, and see you guys next week. Have a good one.